Hello, hello, hello. Hello, hello, hello. Hello, hello, hello. Hey everybody, how y'all doing? Good morning, good evening, good afternoon to you, wherever you are, whatever time it is when you listen to this. Welcome to my fifth degree page. I'm fifth degree, but you could call me fifth, or welcome to my light work and light work page, right? Um, yeah, ultimately, I'm hoping everybody's doing okay. I'm hoping everybody's doing okay. I'm hoping everybody's uh doing well still. We do still have, I want to say, a Saturn retrograde going on, which is going to be talking about different karmic situations that could or would be going on with you. Also, we have, is it Neptune that's retrograde still? And the planets are still, like, in a whole line and shit. So it's a lot of shit going on, ultimately, guys. Pay attention to, with Neptune, you got to pay attention to a few different things. Uh, First off, film, fashion, um, different production companies is definitely one of them. And what does it mean to produce? Uh, Let me see what else. And with Saturn is agriculture, as well as karma, as well as environment. Okay? So pay a lot of those different things some attention. Not quite sure exactly what's going to come out in this reading. Not sure what's going to come out in this reading, y'all. I'm so very serious. But the decks it is that I have out, and I'll let you guys know when the decks shift out. Uh, but we have Tarot of Dreams. We have Murder of Crows. We have the Thought deck. We have the chakra cards, the tipper deck, and I took my karma cards out as well. Not necessarily certain if I would need those, but those are the ones that I took out. Alright. So I'm hoping everybody's doing okay though, right? First and foremost, please be advised, right, within listening to this message or any reading, right? Uh, don't blame the reader, don't shoot the messenger. Okay? Don't blame the reader. Don't shoot the messenger. Whatever is going to come out is just going to come out. All right? Whatever needs to be talked about will be talked about during this particular reading in that same instance. If you're cross-watching, that's an old term. But if you're cross-watching or if you're watching for someone else and you're not supposed to be in a particular person's essence, please understand it's going to pick up for you. Okay? So pay attention to a lot of those different things. I've been noticing that it's been quite a bit of a repeat in a lot of the different readings that were done some years ago, right? Um, so they more than likely going to be coming up again now. If you didn't pay attention then you should pay attention now. That's part one. Part two, you also need to be mindful of what constitutes as karma, right? Karma is reaping what you sow. That's the same thing. It's the exact same thing. It's reaping what you sow. It's the exact same thing as planting a seed. And whatever you get out of that seed is what it is you planted, right? Always, and it's ultimately what I'm getting from it is within the planets. Planets and planetary alignments is something that I'm really kind of getting out of it. The other portion of it is making sure you get a good, healthy understanding of what the planets mean in totality, right? Don't just go based off of speculation. Fact check. I don't care how much you trust the reader. I don't care if it's even me. Fact check. There's nothing wrong with fact checking and educating yourself in varying situations. Okay. Let me see what else. Some of the other stuff that was kind of coming up was cold case files. Is something that I know when there are policemen and things of that nature, right? Who will watch, or investigators that when they watch, a lot of the stuff it is that I personally say they should do is go look at their cold case files. Okay, because a lot of times, a lot of this karmic stuff it is that'll be coming up, it'll be because the case that it would have been initially referred to wouldn't have been closed out. And if you know, you know. There's certain people who are able to make this shit go on again and again and again. So be mindful of that. But yeah, I'm trying to think, was there anything else? I don't think there's anything else. I think that's it for right now, though, y'all. Right? Um, in the dreams, tarot dreams that typically talks about different dreams, visions, premonitions that one would have, the different dreams, right? Some people will make a dream the equivalent of a goal. When I'm doing readings from tarot dreams, it is not about the goal setting aspect. Okay? It is not about the goal, GOAL, setting aspect. Okay? It is going to be about an actual dream that you would have had. Whether you remember it or not, sometimes during these particular readings, sometimes, right, it triggers you to a portion of that particular dream that you would have had. Others may not necessarily be so, right? Just because I don't call it out doesn't necessarily mean that it's not going to be relevant, i.e., for different professions, right? Because within these different readings, we pick up on a lot of different things. So, it may be a profession that a person has. It may be the actual person. One of the things that was coming to me is about being a lion tamer, uh, or even a psychologist. Let me see what else. In the nursing field, you know where this shit fits, right? If you been watching readings for a while, you should have a good idea of what's going on. Okay, if it don't fit, don't force it. If it don't fit, don't force it. If it does, don't ignore it. All right. If it don't fit, don't force it. If it does, don't ignore it. Let me see what else. Also, be mindful that some of the different situations that are coming into place, that'll be talking about actual places and spaces. All right. If I come across it in the reading, then I'll definitely talk about it in that regard. Okay. Now next with the Murder of Crows deck, that's typically in regards to different contracts it is that will be had. Spiritual contracts, physical contracts, um, paperwork, documents. One of the things I will say that comes into place with the Murder of Crows deck, if it is a spiritual contract and it has not been anchored in the physical, then you cannot go crazy and haywire over trying to change some shit that ain't even manifested yet. Okay? That's one of the things that I've noticed on a continuous basis that keeps happening with individuals, period. They keep trying to lock a person in on a spiritual aspect and they fuck up because they don't anchor it in a 3D. Okay? So be mindful of that. Um, in addition to that, I feel entitled to say word and wordplay, right? Doesn't mean very much when it comes to the Murder of Crows deck, because if it's, say for instance, the Nine of Swords comes out, that means it would be a verbal agreement that would have come into place. And if you haven't talked directly to that person one-on-one in 3D, then it does not count. Yeah, shit don't count. Yeah, because I know that y'all be doing too fucking much. You motherfuckers be doing too much, and it be bothering the fuck out of me. I promise you, 9/11 on the on the timer, so obviously it means some shit is an emergency, and that is the emergency that comes into place with understanding. If you're going to go talk to Bilal, or say whatever you have to, if you want to talk to fucking Bilal or God or whoever the deity is or Aroma, I don't care, or even Athena and Zeus, I don't give a shit who it is. If you're going to go and talk to these deities and you do not anchor it in 3D, you're going to have a problem. Serious issue. So it's that part. The other portion, right? We got the thought deck out. Within me having a talk. Okay, I'm sorry. Talk deck. Within us having this deck out, that means you know what everything it is I'm saying. You should know about everything it is I'm saying. It means you ain't no, yeah, you are not new to this, you true to this. Okay, 10-10 on the timer. You true to this, right? This is some shit you already know. This is not for the weak, and yeah, and it's gonna be a higher level reading because I'm calling off the times on the timer, so they obviously mean that this is some endings to some shit, right? The other portion, right? And beginnings to some other things. Endings to something, once you end one thing, it begins another. That's the beautiful thing about transformation, and the beautiful thing about what constitutes as ego death, right? Understand what I will say in regards to that it too as well, because I have these chakra cards. Within going through an ego death, pay attention to what it is that drives your ego. Everybody talks about being ego driven, but none of us really pay attention to what the ego really is and what it impacts within every person. Okay? So just being mindful of that. Alright? Some people's egos are driven by finances. Other people's egos are driven by service. Other people's egos are driven by control. Other people's egos are driven by sex. Please be mindful of all of these things, ladies and gentlemen. Please, 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 especially if you're going to watch my reading. Okay? Please be mindful of these things. Kipper deck is supposed to anchor things down a little bit more. It's supposed to. However, whenever I'm doing a reading, things have a tendency to come out a little bit differently for me than it does for other people. Alright? So we're going to try and stay on track as long as possible because Lord knows, the reading I did yesterday, it went on so very long. And my apologies to all those for the reading being as long as it was, because I was not intending on that happening. Like, even a little bit. And what else? I heard talk about the algorithms. Pay attention to your algorithm. That's the only other thing that I could think of. Algorithm and the way that things are set up. The algorithm in one space is connected to the algorithm in another one. That's what I feel inclined to say and to talk about. If your algorithm is programmed in one particular space and place, please be mindful. Please, please. Okay, please. Please be mindful, right? That what it is that will happen is, say for instance, it's set to one particular setting on Facebook. I don't have Facebook, so I don't know how that goes anymore, but I'm on Facebook or on one social media platform is definitely what it'll say. But if on one social media platform, it'll program the rest of them too. That's how smartphones work, ladies and gentlemen. In short, if you're going to own these types of devices, then you need to make sure you understand how they work and manipulate information to be input into you, because it's set to your personal settings. It's supposed to take notes on shit like that. So just be mindful of those varying things. Alright? Okay. Yeah, it goes for your television, all that shit. So just be mindful. Okay, pay attention to everything that's going on around you. Let's go ahead and get this kicked off real quick. I'm going to start with the Kipper deck, because it was the one that was calling to me the most. I'm not quite sure how long this reading's going to be. So, just be mindful of that, okay? Alright, so we got poverty and gift. Those are the first two cards out, 37 and 17. This is given ages. I want what is given. Okay. and not being a lover. Okay. Okay, I'm hearing some stuff from. It's feeling like it's coming from the solar plexus aspect, so they're kind of giving Leo essence. It's giving Leo and Leo, Virgo, and Pisces. Check your placements, ladies and gentlemen. It could be sun, moon, rising, or in either one of these planets. Please be mindful with these planets being in alignment and there are some going retrograde. It's gonna affect the other planets, so just be mindful of that as well. Oh, but yeah, where I'm feeling it at, yeah, Virgo, Leo, Pisces, a little bit of Cancer essence. So just paying attention to that. Special person, mature man. Anything else? I'm hearing unbalanced leadership. Okay. So here's the deal. I do have my own quarrels with Libra essence, but don't come in with that attitude. Please don't. Especially if you don't know what your placements are. Okay? If you're not working on balancing your own Libra essence out, whether it be for justice, whether it be for the actual understanding of what balance is inside, outside, all around, right? Up, down, right? Diagonal. Pay attention to all this, okay? So, yeah, because I don't like starting to reading off with weird shit. There's enough going on, as is, y'all. Okay, not being on the path. Alright, the gift, not being on the path, and show how a gift wouldn't be along the path. One of the things that I always encourage people to do is to pay attention to what happens to, with, and for them. Okay, with varying aspects and how certain things would affect and effect them. Look those two words up. One's AFFECT, the other's EFFECT. They do have varying meanings or different meanings. Okay, all right, that's it. I find okay. See, one of the things that I'm because these cards came out, they flipping out in the reverse. So in the alchemization of some shit, it'll be about the incoming lovers and the pathway, and then on the whether it be Gemini or whatever, what have you. The other one it'll be about a message of concern, thoughts, and false person. So some of this is gonna be about an actor or an actress in the concern, right? In short, it's not in short with the official person and mature man, and not being a message of concern in the thoughts of a person acting, not, or within a person not acting, not being a false person. Some of this stuff, whenever I see this official person, it gives Army and Mason. So Army, Mason, or not Army, but militia, military, Mason. Some of this, the other portion of it is given is going to be in one of those worldview readings it was that I did, where some of the answers it is that you would need, messages. And how work would need to be done in order for a person to be a lover. So you gotta do a little work to turn it in, to turn it into upright. Okay. So ultimately, it's in regards to this whole poverty, one being in poverty within the gift and not being a lover of the official person and the mature man, and then it not being with this mature man and not being a message of concern with one not thinking of the truth. And that's the concern, the overall essence of that being concerned. That is a really huge concern. You want to know why? Because in maturity, the maturity aspect that'll come into place with it, and one not seeing the concern of what it is that a person would think about being honest or being truthful, and how the gift wouldn't have been along the pathway. So even in this whole concern portion, that's part one. The other portion of this is given when you get to the higher knowing aspect. It says concern, but when one is concerned about something, right? Doesn't matter what it is. When you're concerned about something, you have to sit, think, contemplate, right? What is it to be in poverty? Is ultimately what I'm getting from there. This came from one of the questions that I asked a while ago, and I had posted over on my YouTube. That's what this is getting. What is poverty consciousness and poverty mindset and lack consciousness and all that other shit? That's what I'm thinking this is coming into place with. So you really have to ask yourself what constitutes as being impoverished. Alright, so it's that part. The other portion of it, right, that'll come into play. I heard a person can be spiritually wealthy but not have money, and vice versa. So it actually, poverty tells about morals. It speaks a lot on morals and traditions and things of that nature. And when you are in certain life path portions, right, because this is also given one of those, whether it's life path 1, laugh, how one would have to laugh. Laugh at it, laugh it off, okay? But 1 is life path 1. There's another portion that's life path 8, life path 6, life path 4, or 22, right? Life path 5, and how all of those different life paths have different situations that are going on with you. And what I'm getting from that is, because I didn't do the life path readings, I didn't do a follow-up with those when I was at the library. Also understand that Justice and Libra Essence it talks about the library. So you might have to go to the library, or that would have been something that a person would have liked to have done a lot, right? So it's that part. The other portion, life path 7, life path 8. As far as the ages that would be connected to this situation, it'll be 37, 17, 15, 22, 5, 14, 16, 8, and 35. One of the things I'm going to go ahead and say in regards to this whole gift portion, what it is to be with a person who isn't, when you're a master teacher and you're with a person who isn't one. Like if you know all these different things, but the other person don't know anything about this, right? They may not know anything about that with you, or they may not have any of that information, period. That goes into, oh my goodness, that's what I'm seeing. Okay, I'm seeing one of those, one of the things it is that I'm seeing, right? It was TikTok, and it's been going over TikTok a whole lot. It really has. So I'm thinking this must have something to do with it. But TikTok, right, is in the spiritual talk, right? It talks a whole lot about if you're not really a spiritual person. And when I say spiritual person, I'm not talking about religion aspect, okay? Just because you're religious don't mean that you're spiritual. And just because you're religious doesn't necessarily mean that you're actually connected to source, the divine, God, goddess, whoever. However you want to look, the universe, however you want to look at it, okay? Just because you're religious or ritualistic doesn't mean you're actually connected to the deities, okay? Deities connection comes with respect, okay? I don't know why I need to say that, but I'm going to go ahead and say it. So there's that portion. But in regards to being a master teacher, what it is to be a master teacher, alright? And what it is to show, to be guarded in your concerns. Ultimately is what that boils down to. Guarded, guarded or protected in your concern. I only got 15% on here, so let me hurry this up. Alright, let's see what we got. Alright, so we got the influence of a burden. Influence, the burden, and Princess of Swords with the collection of information. Okay. Within it being knowing about the Tower moment that come into place within cruelty, verbal agreements. Remember I said if it comes out, knowing what either verbal agreements are, gossip is, different discussions, and the anxiety with one not being a lover, right? There being anxiety. And then within the obsession that comes with one being materialistic, I don't know why, I'm hearing civil unrest and not being rest, right? That's that Capricorn essence that's kind of coming into place with this. So ultimately what I'm getting from this is within there being different discussions on what would impact the burden for the collection of information. Okay, you should know what the name, I'm hearing you don't call people names out. I don't call people names out. I don't have a reason to call a person's name out because you know what your situation is and I shouldn't have to tell you that much. You making me do too much work, and that's not the way I do the readings unless a name actually comes out. Unless a name actually comes out. Okay. So, right, in regards to this whole devil essence, right? Yeah, this is gonna be more so about the objections, objectification. I'm hearing erectile dysfunction. And the judgment that comes into place with revealing what it is that will be hidden in regards to the official person and the mature man and his message of concern and things of that nature. And it being not only about it being about the spiritual love. Spiritual love or the love of one's spirit, right? Yeah, and sure within knowing this Tower moment, there's this understanding that comes into place with whether it's about collecting the information, whether it's about surveillance, or it's even about writing, writing, all of that type of shit, right? Yep. Within the love of what it is to be a hermit, in hermit essence, to have one's spirit in reflection. And then there being healing in the fortune last year. How it is one would have healed the fortune last year. That's that part. No, because it would have been about, I'm hearing Samhain. It would have been about what it was that would have taken place during Samhain. Samhain lasts realistically from, I want to say, like October 30th until like November 2nd. Because there are a lot of different cultures. So culturally speaking, it'll be a lot of different cultures all in one that will help. The other thing that I'm getting from this is cultures is going to talk about because my Necromonicon deck wanted to come, is going to be talking about pay attention to petri dishes. Some shit it is that would happen in a petri dish, and what it is to be in a petri dish. What was the environment of the petri dish? Like if the person set it up correctly. Kind of what I'm getting from this. And the indirectness, the indirectness that comes into place with the investment and over the course of 7 years. And over the course of 7 years with an investment and the feeling of one being stable. What it is to feel stability, right? Yeah, and the obsession with a person and the obsession with having a person materialize. That's kind of what I'm getting from that. And what it is to be karmic in the respect of being Taurus, Virgo, or Capricorn. and the obsession with karmic essence. Alright. The expansion and the vision of expansion within one not being heartbroken. Over the course of 3 years, the commitments that come into place with the spiritual contract and the verbal agreements that would have supposedly, whether or not a person's word really is their bond. Okay, so what will be clearing out in the chakras aspect is what it is that will be dissipating in the old way of thinking within the investigative news reports. You got despondence and the expansion of despondence within one being isolated and there being faith in one's ability to persevere within the discovery of the release of the facades of guilt and it being bittersweet. Okay? The colors you're looking at or the chakra systems you're looking at third eye, sacral, crown. Some of this other stuff is going to be about past out mediumship. That's what was trying to come out. It'll be about mediumship. And if a person was obsessed with someone who would have passed away, that's the other portion of it. That would have been a Taurus, Virgo, or Capricorn. If a person would have been obsessed with someone who would have passed away, I don't want to say it. Well, for the investigative portion, it would have been some of it's going to be about due through being shot. Others is going to be about through surgery. Through surgeries that would have gone on. That would have been due to poor collection of information, bad studies. The burden that comes into place with when you want to push something through. Just so there can be an expansion in regards to the tree of life. Alright? The only other thing it is that I am going to say in regards to it is going to be about what it is that can go on and happen when you're breaking generational curses versus generational trauma. And you have to understand what the difference between those are, okay? And how they can overlap. Alright. So I'm hoping it helps you guys out just a little bit. Maybe a tad bit of an inclination as to a few different things it is that will be going on. If you'd like to schedule your own personal search of clarity, you're more than welcome to do so at lightworkandlightworkllc@gmail.com. Alright? Because see, remember, light work, it ain't light work. It is not light work. It's not light work. And that's why you have to stay light while you work.